Good morning and welcome to Monday, June the 8th today. And we got one last reading, which would have been Sundays, on friendship. We've done a number of them, all under the listing of the meaning of marriage, two ways to love, the character of friendship, Christian friendship, friendship in action. Today, spiritual friendship. And we are reading here from 1 John chapter 3, verses 2 and 3. Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. All who have this hope in him purify themselves just as he is pure. And I'm pretty sure those last words gave rise to the spiritual friendship title of today's devotion. Actually, yesterday's, technically. How does this supernatural friendship that can exist between any two Christians relate to natural human friendship, which is based on the common thread of similar loves and passions? The answer is that they can overlap or coincide. A Christian can become great friends with a non-Christian who, for example, shares her enthusiasm for an author. They read the author's books and meet to talk enthusiastically and joyfully about what they loved in the books. If the two friends are also, say, young mothers, then they have another basis for friendship. And the friendship can become warm and close despite the lack of common Christian faith. As we have shown, two Christians can have the spiritual friendship described in one anothering directives of the New Testament, even if temperamentally and in every other way the two are extremely different and humanly speaking, incompatible. Perhaps the richest and best relationships, however, are those that combine both the natural and the supernatural elements. Marriage, of course, can add the power of romantic love to the natural and supernatural bonds of friendship, and this is what can make marriage the richest of all human relationships. Friendship is a deep oneness that develops as two people speaking the truth in love to each other journey together to the same horizon. Spiritual friendship is the greatest journey of all because the horizon is so high and far, yet sure. It is nothing less than the day of Jesus Christ and what we will be like when we finally see him face to face. This is obviously governed, I would say, by, although it's not 100%, you can be a good friend as a believer with someone who's not a believer, but you have things in common that make you happy, that make you excited to talk about. And I think that's an accurate friendship in so many ways. But at the same time, if you are married and you're both believers, then to have a healthy spiritual friendship is key. Truly important to have that together and have your eyes set on that day of Christ. All who have this hope in him purify themselves just as he is pure. Because we together, whether it be best friends, whether it be as husband and wife, whatever it may be that connects us strongly, we want to be ready for that day. We don't want a separation to happen that injures that spiritual friendship we once had, those eyes fixed on anticipation of the Lord's return. And there's a time or two in the New Testament especially that refers to being ready, being prepared for the day that the Lord returns, a time, a day that no one else knows. And so our friendship with a loved one needs to be strong in hope of that day and being together for eternity. The one that's dated for today, June the 8th, is now coming from a book entitled Every Good Endeavor. In the beginning, there was work. That was the title. That is the title of today's. Genesis 2:15, the Lord God took the man, put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. The Bible begins talking about work as soon as it begins talking about anything. That is how important and basic it is. The author of the book of Genesis describes God's creation of the world as work. In fact, he depicts the magnificent project of cosmos invention within a regular work week of 7 days. And then he shows us human beings working in paradise. This view of work, connected with divine, orderly creation and human purpose, is distinct among the great faiths and belief systems of the world. The creation narrative in the book of Genesis is unique among ancient accounts of origins. Many cultures had stories that depicted the beginning of the world and human history as the result of a struggle between warring cosmic forces. In the Babylonian creation story of the Enuma Elish, the god Marduk overcame the goddess Tiamat and forges the world out of her remains. Wow, I never heard that before. Not very happy. Sounded either. In this and similar accounts, the visible universe was an uneasy balance of powers in tension with one another. In the Bible, however, creation is not the result of a conflict, for God has no rivals. Indeed, all the powers and beings of heaven and earth are created by him and dependent on him. Creation then is not the aftermath of a battle, but the plan of a craftsman. And I feel like I'd like to add the word master craftsman. All the perfection of the created universe, all the beauty, all the things that are building blocks dependent on each other to fit right, to carry out the purpose for which they were created by God in the first place. And part of that was Adam and Eve working the garden, having that responsibility. It's true for all of us. And it's important that we not only share God's creation together, but we care for it together. So many things going on in our world that is damaging God's created order. And a lot of people who are wealthy, who want to build certain things that a lot of cities and areas do not want them there. And I'm happy to see that they're fighting against it, that they are looking for the ability to get their town government or state government, whichever it may be, to not allow these, I can't even remember what they're called now, but the power stations basically that run all the time, using water constantly, creating a stressful environment for the area in which they're operating. And it's destructive to the creation of God, destructive to the animals, destructive to the land that that they sit on. And I'm not real good at taking care of the whole planet, but I do know that when I see the pollution, when I see people even just flick a cigarette butt out the car window, I'm unhappy about that. And so it is a work that the human race has been given to do, to care for the animals, to care for the plants. All of that fell under Adam and Eve's job description, I guess. And what a beautiful, I mean, when you stop and think about it, creation at that point was perfect. Nothing had, at least yet, been done to mar it, to somehow do things that just would not allow the beauty of that creation to continue to grow and thrive, and if possible, even get better in all of this. They did, however, sin. And we find out pretty quickly that sin mars God's creation and what he intended. He intended this planet for us to enjoy, to marvel at his creative abilities in putting all those pieces together, putting us in the exact place our planet needs to be in the solar system. All of those different things. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We have a lot in common in that. Created in God's image. Jesus died on the cross for all of us. And that is a rock solid foundation for spiritual friendship. And part of that spiritual friendship can become working together to protect, to be good stewards of the creative plant, the creation, and the planet that we're on, and doing all we can, whether it's to send letters to our government officials asking them to vote a certain way. There's nothing wrong with that unless you're, getting angry about too many things. And just to do all that we can. I always think of the verses in Romans 8 that all creation is groaning. Why is it groaning? It's groaning, waiting till the day when all those who belong, this is not word for word, but waiting for the day when all of those who are sons and daughters of the King are revealed and the curse is removed. And that's what's really tough on our creation. I can't drive anywhere, see a dead animal on the side of the road and not have that come to my mind. All creation is groaning. It's sad to see a dead deer, a dead raccoon, a dead dog, a dead cat, all kinds of different animals, a dead squirrel. I know I have a heart for the squirrels. But there are things that we can connect on. Whether we're believers, both of us are believers or not, there are these things that we can agree on, put our heads together on, and do all that we can to not only strengthen our own friendship together, but to reach out to others. Try and get them to join the team as well in spiritual friendship and in working in the creation that's been handed to us. Handed to us. So blessings to you today on this Monday. Enjoy your day and enjoy your week.